I like how close you are to a major L station because that way there's an easy way for people to get home without using their cars, I said. Thank you for honoring us like that, said David. That also is why we have no parking lot, and it doesn't affect our business at all, except on rainy days because we still get some business. If you don't mind me asking, how did you two meet? Because you said you founded this sport fresh out of college, I asked. We met in college. We realized how much we had in common, such as me and him having a desire to be small business managers, and then we realized we were gay. We didn't marry until it was legal until in all 50 states, no matter what, so which is why we didn't get married until 2 years ago, said David. How did your parents meet, if you don't mind me asking? Peter asked. They met the day my dad was kicked out of Catholic school. My dad was 11 at the time, and my mom was 18 and was beginning to study to be a doctor at the time. My dad was my mom's. My mom was my dad's main support structure to get him through Catholic school, and vice versa. And they were really good supports to each other for the rest of the time when my dad was in school. My dad became an awareist, and soon after that, my parents married the day my dad graduated high school, which was his 18th birthday, and my mom graduated medical school. I came about 2.5, 3 years later, I said. Oh, I see, Peter said. Just to be clear, if you were ever concerned about my dad having me young, well, they have always made great money, I said. We weren't worried, said David. We then all laughed. Are you worried about the age difference between me and Hannah? I asked just to make a joke again. Everyone at the table then laughed again. No, I may be 3 months older than David, but I don't let age difference stop us, said Peter. It doesn't stop my parents at all. They are the two most inseparable people you will ever meet, and my mom was a very young adult when she met my dad, who was still a kid, I said. It sounds to me like you get your taste in older women from your father, said David. We then cracked up laughing again. It's funny because it's true, I said. We then laughed again. So, Marcus, what are your main interests? Peter asked. I live across the street from the library in downtown, so I go there a lot to study psychology to find a cure for autism, I said. Oh, so you don't like having autism? David asked. Nope, I never did. All it has given me is just a bunch of trouble, I answered. Why don't you? No offense, just wondering, Peter asked. Because it makes my life harder. I have had difficulty making friends. Part of it is because of how I dress, but I just have had difficulty connecting to other people other than my family and Hannah, I said. What about us? David asked. Oh yeah, I forgot about you guys too, I answered. Is there anything else your autism does to you that you dislike? Peter asked. It makes me solve situations in ways I probably shouldn't, I said to Peter and David. How, if you don't mind me asking? David said. My mom was in the hospital 2 days ago, and I had to be kicked out because of how I acted in there, I said. Oh no, what happened? I didn't know that, said Hannah. I'm sorry to hear, said Peter. I'm sorry to hear that too, but were you really kicked out? David asked. Unless you feel like it makes me a bad person, don't worry about what happens between me and my parents, because this is my fault. I just slightly overreacted to something. But yes, I really was kicked out. Just sometimes my parents were a little bit difficult, I answered. What was your mom in the hospital for? Peter asked with empathy in his voice. She has mobility issues, and she fell hard on a hard floor at work and cracked her head, I answered. Oh no, is she okay? Peter asked with empathy again. Yeah, she has had mobility issues for a while. I don't know what it is causing it. I know my dad knows something, but he won't tell me. But Either way, she has been in and out of hospitals for the past 6 years because of it. It sounds like Parkinson's to me, said David. Now, David, let's not jump to conclusions here. It could make a possible son-in-law upset, Peter said. I was laughing so hard at what Peter said at the end that I totally missed David's apology. Did you hear me say I'm sorry? David asked. I did, but I do now. I am sorry that I missed it the first time, but either way, I accept your apology, I said to David. Thanks, said David. Can I ask you a question because you may be my future son-in-law, Peter asked. Yes, I answered. If you and Hannah get married, she told me she is going to convert to your religion. Is she going to dress the way you do with the cloak? Peter asked. Yes, however, if she does join our religion, she can put her hood down and maybe take her clothes off if she is not in public and with you in your house, I said. Oh yeah, I forgot. I talked about that rule earlier. That's how we act when we are around grandparents because our grandparents' house is an embassy to Robbinsog. We also dress normally and casually because we own a dress fancy if people visit us, not if we visit them. The main thing that will be different is that it will she will no longer be celebrating Christmas or Easter, I said. And we celebrate those holidays, but just in the way where we make Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny the center, not Jesus. But we're still spiritual people, David said. I know, she told me that, I said. Well, either way, we are fine with that, Peter said. We get enough business here in the board that it is unimportant if she celebrates it with us. No offense, David said. None taken, said Hannah. There was a pause, but I interrupted. Just wondering, do either of you have siblings? I asked to make conversation. I have only one older brother. He married a Spaniard because of the fact he was always obsessed with Spain because of his Spanish roots, and he currently lives in Madrid, Spain, with his 2 sons and a daughter, said Peter. Oh, wow, how often do you see him? I asked. Once a year. His family either comes to the United States, or goes out, or we go out, or goes out with us when we go to Europe for a wine tasting. But I talk with him on the phone at least once a week, said Peter. Well, what about your what about your parents? I asked. I asked David. My brother's a doctor, and my parents got sick in America. And at the time, they were living around Joliet. They moved to Spain for my brother to take care of him. Unfortunately, both my parents are dead now, said Peter. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Much appreciated, but it has been 10 years since I became an orphan. I'm doing fine and was kind of expected, said Peter. Do you have any siblings? I asked David. I also have a brother. He lives in Ypsilanti, Michigan. He is a professor at Eastern Michigan University. He is married, he just has no kids, said David. What about your parents? I asked. They live in an assisted living place up near Gurney, said David. Are they doing well, I asked. With the assistance, yes, said David. Oh, I forgot to ask, how often do you see your brother? I asked David. I drive out to Kalamazoo and have dinner with him once every 2 weeks, and our families meet in either Chicago or Ypsilanti once every 6 months. We tend to alternate, said David. That's nice, I said. What's the sass with your extended family? David asked. My dad is an only child. My mom has 3 sisters, all of which are unmarried, and 2 of them around here live in Chicago. The other sister lives in Seattle. My mom's dad is dead. My mom's mom, I don't know where she is, but I hope that changes soon. And my dad's parents retired and moved to Orlando, I said. What did you mean with what you said about your mom's mom? Peter asked. I actually don't want to talk about it, I said. Oh, sorry if we made you touch a touchy subject, said Peter. No problem, and you didn't. I just stopped you before you did, I explained. Or do you other things you don't want us to discuss with you, David asked. I would prefer it if we only function by the policy that we only discuss my mom if I bring her up, or if you ask if we can discuss it and I approve of it, which I may or may not do, I said. That's fine, said David. It is hard for us to find a touchy subject about ourselves, but if we find one and you bring it up, we will tell you to stop, said Peter. Will do, I said.